Okay, well, this is a somewhat of a speculation video, somewhat of a theories video on the one of the newest MOBAs, Paragon, and specifically asking what is Monolith. Um, put it simply, Monolith is basically going to be the new map that replaces the map that everybody is currently playing on, which is called Legacy. Um, Obviously, this right here is about the sale that they're going to have next weekend. But if we scroll down a bit, we see here that we have part 6 of the Road to Monolith update, which is, in my opinion, pretty much the last uh, part. They're going to have one more part 7, on the Road to Monolith, but that's going to be, if we just click on here, they actually tell us what it's going to be. Um, I mean, most people probably have already read all of this. But the next part is basically just going to be some. Um, Next week we will go over the main system updates from move speed to vision and more. So it's going to be like some small details. But in terms of the map itself, we already have pretty much all of the details. Um, if we look here, right, you can see the map in its entirety, and we can see all the buffs and all the structures on the map. The picture here is Orange Team Rampage going to his what is called Amber Link. This is the new structure that is going to be taking the place of the harvesters in the current legacy map, and will basically be the new kind of passive way that we get Amber. The Amber Link, as has been explained in the update, is also not something that is going to require any keys. As you can see in the build here, there are no more keys. You're not gonna need keys, as far as I can tell, because the Amber Link is activated from the beginning of the match, and it cannot be destroyed. So there's no need to sort of reactivate it. But let's go back a bit and go back to what we can see here about the new map in its entirety. Obviously, we have here, this is the home, this is the core. Heroes will be spawning back here, and then we'll be running outwards when the match starts into their respective lanes. As has been explained in previous lanes, in previous updates, you know, number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is part 6, right? The middle lane is going to be the same as it is now, which is basically it's going to be a lane for the casters, you know, the offensive casters, meaning who are the Gideon, Scorch, Gadget, those type of casters, the ones that push lanes, the ones that, you know, kill people with big burst damage. Just AoE is their thing, and that's what they're gonna do. That's what's gonna be going into middle lane, right? And as you can see, middle lane is a big of a zigzag, right? It's like an inverted Z almost, or it's not inverted, it's just like a stretched out Z. And it's the only lane that is broken up almost perfectly in half, right? The other two lanes, we have a long and short, and then a long and a short, right? So casters go in the middle lane. They're going to have access to maybe this jungle camp if they want to later on in the game, and also they're going to have access to, I don't know if you guys can see it, but I can't zoom in unfortunately, but it's a little blue dot here, which is basically the new blue buff. The new blue buff, we are not 100% yet on what it's going to change in terms of what it's going to give the person that collects the blue buff, you know. But you know, early speculation, I'm going to say maybe a little bit of cooldown reduction, some increased mana regain, maybe I don't know. I mean, aside from cooldown reduction and mana regain, maybe a slight increase in damage. I mean, you don't really want to have your casters hitting all that hard, because then that'll just make them really dangerous. Or if people just stack the buffs on top of each other. But whatever. Mid lane goes to the casters, like it is now. And if you're playing Legacy now, and you're not sure what goes in middle lane, it's the casters. It's Gideon, it's Iggy and Scorch, it's Gadget. They're the ones that go in middle lane, okay? The offensive casters, because there's other casters, but they're, you know, like Muriel, for example, but she's more of a support, right? So she will go into the dual lane, you know. But anyways, going back to the new Monolith map here, we see the other lane here from the blue side. It's a long lane here, aka the safe lane. Why is it called the safe lane? Well, because it's hard to get killed in this lane for a few reasons. One, there's not many safe entry points for the enemy team into this lane. You know, entry point right here. Maybe heroes that can jump through this little gap, this tiny wall here, might be able to jump as well. Other than that, the only other entrance is all the way back here in between their towers. So hard to get ganks here if you're on the orange side. The inverse is true for this side. This is the orange team's safe lane, and it's the same thing. It's a little tiny wall here, probably could be jumpable. One point of entry here, and then the other point of entry all the way back here. So safe lane, safe lane. Hard to get killed in that lane. Also known as the dual lane, because you will want to stick a carry and a support in this lane. Who are the carries? The carries are Twin Blast, Sparrow, Gideon. No, Gideon. I said Grimax. Gideon is middle lane. I'm sorry. Gideon is caster. Grimax and Murdoch. Grimax, Murdoch, Sparrow, Twin Blast. Okay, those are the rangers. The supports are people like Muriel. You have people like even Rampage can play support. You have people that are generally tanky. You know, you're gonna want to put them in support role. People that can take a hit and not really, you know, scrub it off like Rampage does all the time. You know, Victor, Sabrog, a bunch of people can play support. The general theme with supports is sustain and tankiness. You know, that's what you want as a support. But the other important thing to notice about the dual lane here is that there's a gold buff right here and right here, right, in the respective lanes. As you can tell, the map is mirror inverse. It's a mirror inverse, meaning whatever's on the right side on your map is going to be on the left side on their map, and vice versa, right? It's crisscross. So the gold buff, what it does is that, if I'm not mistaken, it substantially increases the amount of amber that you get from last hitting enemy minions, or from straight up killing enemy heroes. Actually, I think they said it multiplies the amount of amber you get from any source. So you can, obviously you want to stay in lane and last hit them as many minions as possible, but you can even go to just this jungle camp right here in case your minions are all the way pushed up under the tower and you don't want to farm on the river, which would be the most dangerous spot to farm in this lane. You can head back and maybe even farm this white camp here to let the wave push back into your lane, into your favor, into your safe zone. Here is also where the in between middle lane and dual lane, middle lane and dual lane, is the big jungle, right? Here, the big jungle, we can see the enemy Rampage going to his Amber Link. The way they explain it is basically it'll do the exact same thing that harvesters do now in the legacy map, which is it'll passively over time collect amber. But these amberlings, as they're called now, will also get a boost in the amber that they have stored in their banks every time a jungle camp um, gets farmed. So you can see that they placed the amber link in right smack in the middle of 5 jungle camps. Right, we have blue camp, green camp, and 3 white camps. Right. Um, from the way that they explain it, I don't think that this jungle camp is going to be too far away, or that the wall splitting the amber link and the blue camp is going to matter. I'm pretty sure that if any one of these 5 camps gets farmed, the amber link will get that boost in amber added to it. The other thing that they said about the amber link is that it will passively on its own distribute however much amber it has to the team, which means that people don't have to stand on it to collect it. Now, this is a little confusing because they have a rampage. I mean, this might have just been for the picture, but they have a hero going as if they, the hero is heading to the amber link as if they're going to collect it or something. So it might be that it'll distribute it passively on its own, or that somebody could go to it and stand there to collect whatever is on it at that current time as well. Or maybe this rampage isn't the orange team rampage. Maybe this rampage is blue team rampage, and the rampage is going to go and attack the amber link. Now, what happens when a hero attacks the amber link? Well, they steal whatever amber is in there. The amber link cannot be destroyed. The only thing that will happen is that when you attack the enemy amber link, you will basically just be stealing their amber. But other than that, the amber link is just going to be this ever-present flow of amber, which obviously will be not important in the late game, seeing as how everybody will probably get to max card points during that time. But this is the big jungle, right? We have the gold buff, we have the blue buff, we have 3 jungle camps, and then we also have the green buff, or also known as the jungle buff. Okay, this buff. Oh, and okay, so before, well, yeah, the green buff is going to, as its namesake suggests, is going to be for the jungle. It's going to be best utilized on the jungler. It's going to, from what they talked about, it should be giving a let me see if I can find a right quick. It's going to be giving a speed boost and increased damage, if I'm not mistaken. Here we go. There it is. And they basically just reused the asset from red buff. They recolored it green and stuck it there, and which is fine. There's no real need for them to like make a whole new, monster just for a buff, right? Oh, actually, here we go. This the jungle buff, right? It actually gives you a damage shield, and that basically returns any damage taken from any source back onto the source. So if you have your jungle buff on you and you're attacking jungle camps, any damage that they do, they'll be doing damage to themselves, which will obviously help clear them out faster. Once that shield goes away, it'll have a small explosion which also deals damage, which makes it really good for, like they see it here, for clearing camps, for diving towers, and ganking, obviously. With that extra burst of damage at the end, when the camp gets destroyed finally, or when the shield gets destroyed. So it has a type of very strong, like, bruiser fighter type of you know, capabilities, mentality, in that it benefits from people that just can stay in the fight for a long while, that are taking a lot of hits and are dealing a lot of damage, right? You know, because you want the team to hit you so that they could get that return damage from the green buff, and you want that shield eventually to be depleted so that that burst of damage also explodes and hurts the enemy team. So that's the jungle camp there. So this is the big jungle. The gold buff we already explained. It's going to give you a boost in all sources of amber. The blue buff, unspecified what is going to give, but I'm going to obviously just go with what it does now, which is mana mana regain and cooldown reduction. White camps are pretty much the same as always, except that instead of going from level 1 to level 2 to level 3, they'll just have another minion with them up to 5. So they'll start with 2 minions in each camp, and then it'll have 3 minions, and then it'll have 4 minions. I guess some people maybe they found the leveling up system confusing. Either way, it's the same thing basically. Um, you're still getting more XP, and you still want to farm the camp so that they could get that extra minion, so that way um, the total amount of XP and card XP you're getting from the jungle camps keeps increasing. You don't want it to stay, with just 3 minions for X amount of time and just have them sitting there on their asses. Um, so that's that's the big jungle. Um, the big jungle on the right side for blue team, on the left side for orange team. I mean, if you're on orange team, it'll seem like it's on right side to you, because obviously that's my left, your right, or whatever. Um, and then we're making our way over to the offlane here, but then we have the little jungle, or the off jungle, maybe you can even call it that. And what it has is very limited, I would say, compared to the big jungle. We On both sides, it's only one buff and 2 camps, right? On blue side, there's the black buff, which we all know it does damage over time to towers and objectives, and just 2 white camps. And then on the orange side, we have the purple buff and 2 white camps. So, not really an advantage for either side, especially because they're both kind of like, the river, bubbles a little bit for them, putting them more closer to the middle. So, but it's still, obviously, the blue side does have a slight advantage getting black buff, and orange side has a slight advantage getting purple buff, I would say. Not a big enough one to dictate the flow of battle, though. That's what I would say. But this brings us all the way here to this little short lane, right? Short lane, the solo lane, right? You want one hero here, but if you remember, the long lane or dual lane, right? That's going to have 2 heroes. So the solo hero, the person that's in the off lane, in the solo lane, is going to be going 2v1. Obviously, there's disadvantages in that, which is why you're going to need this hero to be your tank, because you're going up against 2 heroes. You can't have a super squishy person on here, obviously, because you're gonna be taking poke. You're going to be taking poke. There's no 2v1. There's no way you're not taking poke. Also, putting a tank in solo lane, tanks scale very well with their abilities. They can use card power. Every hero can use card power, right? But the abilities for a tank are more crucial than for other heroes, right? They thrive off of their abilities, right? Freaking what's his name? Greystone, right? You want to get his buffs up almost maxed, you know, his innate physical defense and health. You want to max that out as soon as possible, you know. Steel, you want to max out his shields and his dash as soon as possible, you know. Trying to think of other tanks. Rampage, you can use them as a tank. Rampage is very versatile. He's gonna be, I believe, one of the stronger characters in this map. Same thing with Sevrog. Sevrog can be played solo, support, jungle, Rampage, solo, support, jungle. Um, I mean, they show us here a what's his name? A Grux here. Obviously jungling, which is one of his better roles. Um, I mean, that's pretty much going to be the rundown of how the new map is played, right? You're gonna have 3 lanes like we do now, middle lane for casters, just how it is now. Long lane for the duos, right? Your support and your carry, ADC, your AKA Ranger. And then you have the off lane here for your tank or your solo. You know, not always have to be a tank. It could be somebody that just has really, really good sustain, like a Quan. You know, he can stay in lane by himself for a long time. You know, um, just people that don't die very easily. Those, and you know, and have a and can push. You know, so you're gonna want somebody that not only survive 2v1, but can also effectively push lanes, right? You need somebody that will not be completely overrun. You need them to be able to hold their tower for as long as possible, so that you know a gank can come through, or so that another rotation could come through and help them push the lane further. Um, but that's gonna be the rundown of it. Just remember the main thing that I think will mess most people up is that the map is inverted, right? It's not parallel like it is now. So you know your gold buff is on the opposite side of where their gold buff is, a complete edge to edge, right? You know, the green buff is on the other side of where their green buff is. You know, it's crisscrossed. So keep that in mind when you're pushing your lanes. You know, it's like if you're pushing into their dual lane, remember that's the big jungle. Chances are their jungler might be in there, and the jungler will come out and protect that lane if need be. You know, the other thing that they explain is that there's going to be some type of jump pad or teleportation pad that makes it easier to go between the big jungle and small jungle. I don't know exactly how this will play out, but you know, we'll see. I'm not gonna comment on that because I don't know how I feel about that until I actually see it or get a good description of what it actually does. Um, but I mean, aside from that, we basically know everything about Monolith that we need to know. They're going to be like I said in the beginning of the video, they're going to be explaining um, you know, the movement speed, vision, and other details like that. So it's going to be interesting to see how they changed all of that to accommodate the smaller map. It seems promising. You know, it seems more. I don't want to say streamlined because they're still very much doing their own thing, but it seems like they're tuning in more on the important parts of what makes their MOBA worth playing, right? Which the map is basically the the 11th character. You know, there's 5 on your side, 5 on their side, and then there's the map, right? You need to be able to properly farm the map in order to gain advantages over your opponents to hopefully lead you to a victory. Um, I mean, there's a bunch of other notes here regarding the jungle buff and the amber link, and you know, things like that. As you can see here, this Chimera coming in for a gank on. It looks like he's going after the howitzer here, but yeah, he's definitely going on the howitzer. I'm trying to look here. Him and Gideon are orange team, and howitzer is blue team. So chances are that the well, we don't see any buff on him, right? So chances are that the he came maybe for, well, it's not an early game gamp. He's level 3. He has 7 card power, so I mean they probably just took this picture just for the hell of it, you know, just for the cinematic of it. But it's interesting to see. We have 7 card points total, right? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 spent, but for some reason we have 1. Oh no, wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, yeah, that's fine. You know, we have a ward here. I mean, see, and this is the other thing that I am a little, you know, curious about as well. This looks like a scout ward, but it has 2 charges. So do scout wards now have 2 charges? Because that will make them a lot more useful than they are now. He has a wind carver, not upgraded at all, and mana and health pot. He still has 1 point left over. 7 points total. If we so we can read these 7 points in 2 different ways. Okay, so either he started off with 4 points, right, and he got 1, 2, 3, and then just had the 1 point left over, and then he farmed up 3 more points and he went back and got the wind carver, or he started with 3 points and on level up we're getting 4 points now. So that's basically the difference. Either we're getting 3 or 4 points on level up now. It will be interesting to see. We can also see here his mana and health values at level 3. It's a little bit different than what they are now at level 3. So that's also something else to keep in mind, that heroes themselves will be getting a global, as it seems, patch to their health and mana values, making, you know, probably in an effort to accommodate the smaller, more dynamic map that is Monolith. So that's pretty much all for now. That's what Monolith is. Monolith is the new map that is going to be replacing Legacy. Legacy is the current map that you're on. Then that's the rundown of of what each map, of what all the lanes will hopefully look like. You know, obviously at lower level play, people are going to be going whatever the hell they want, and there's going to be some weird laning makeups. But ideally, you want a strong solo laner here. You want your caster here. You want your carry and your support here, and then you want a jungler just going everywhere. You know, just being a menace like they always are. Ganking has always been one of the stronger points in Paragon, and I think this map is going to make it even stronger. Here we see just them highlighting the jungle areas and highlighting the green buff. Like I said before, this is the safe lane here. Only, you know, an entryway through the river, but that's very obvious. They're going to see you a mile away. And we also remember the river is the lowest point on the map, meaning that everything from here to here is on an incline. It's going uphill, and anything from here to here is also going uphill. Okay, so it'll be very tough to get a gank straight from the river, right? You're gonna have to come around, and this is probably why you're not gonna want to target dual lane, because it's gonna be very difficult. You're gonna have to come around, maybe get the jump on here, or come all the way around through here. But here you're very deep. You're deep into enemy territory. They could easily, especially if they have a ward. And let's talk about wards real quick. This should be, there's certain places where I'm pretty sure that you're going to always want to have wards, and most of them are going to be along the river, right? a long purple and black camp, right? You're gonna want them here. You're gonna want them here. You're gonna want them here and here. Maybe a defensive ward right here. Defensive ward right here. But if you're right, it's always better to plant wards aggressively, right? So let's say you start on this side, right? Your dual lane here, right? What you probably want to do before the camps even come up, try to pop a ward. Go, maybe even bring the jungler with you, right? A three-man team. Go all the way here, pop a ward right there, or maybe inside the camp, you know. But here, right here, would be an ideal position because that means that the jungler cannot come through here or here or here without you knowing about it, right? This is a very good offensive ward. If you're on this side, maybe come with your solo and your caster and pop a ward right here. Offensive ward. These are offensive ward placement is always preferred to defensive, and defensive is like if you start here and you put a ward down here in your own jungle and stuff like that. That's a defensive ward, right? You do that if you need to. What you want to really do is put offensive wards. So you want to put them here. You want to put them around here, basically just all up in their jungle, or any deeper than that is unnecessary. You don't have to go that deep, but I would say at the very least put one right here, early game, right? Because your gold buff is right here. So just cross the river real quick, put a buff right, a ward right there, and then come right back and do your jungle camp, right? Or put a ward right here. That way you can see the casters, right? That will actually be a really good ward here and here. A lot safer than going all the way over here, but this would be a very, very powerful ward. But here and here would be good. And see, like I said, depending on the river, right? Is the entrance to the river, the entrance to the river, entrance to the river, entrance to the river. That's where you want your wards, entrance to the river. And vice versa for the opposite team. They're going to want their wards here, they're going to want their wards here, they're going to want their wards here, they're going to want their wards here. And here even as well, even on the gold camp. It's all about getting the information. That's pretty much all about Monolith. Can't wait for it to come out. It's coming out on December 6th, so we have 2 weeks. It's going to be coming out a week after Final Fantasy comes out, so hopefully that won't hurt it too bad. So we'll see how it goes. But for now, that's all. Thank you for listening. Bye bye.